Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Sanji and today we're going to do a bit of a different video. I want to share with you my 5 worst financial decisions and how it resulted in me losing about $50,000 over the last 10 years. So this is me basically letting you guys into some of the terrible decisions I've made, and hopefully it's going to be valuable for you especially if you're in your 20s and you're watching this video. The things that I'm about to tell you, just make sure you don't do it and you'll be fine. And if you're, older than your 20s, and you see some of these things, hopefully it will give you some kind of comfort that there are other people. Maybe you've made these decisions as well and you've made these mistakes, and you'll be watching and you'll be thinking, oh, it's good to see that there were some other idiots out there who made some terrible calls in their life. So hey, it's a bit of a light-hearted-ish, but more of an insight into some of the terrible calls I've made. And hopefully you'll learn from them and you can use them in your own life. So the first one is investing in the share market to try and become a millionaire overnight. Now this is a classic one when it comes to investing. You're looking for things that are under $1 each per share, maybe at 5 cents, 6 cents, and you're like, if I put in like $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, and overnight, if this thing goes up from being 5 cents to $1, I'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars richer. And I did this many a times. I wasn't looking at balance sheets. I wasn't looking at anything around how this business actually operated. I just saw that it was priced low in terms of the absolute share price. It was under $1, and I thought, hey, if this goes up a lot, it'll be great. And I did this with childcare centers, with mining companies, satellite companies. Yeah, so these are some of the terrible decisions I've made. And it's not really investing, it's actually just gambling and hoping that a company you're investing in will turn out to go from being 5 cents to being $1 in a couple of months or years. And that very rarely happens. And through that, I've lost something like around $5,000, $6,000. Now that's maybe not a lot. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of money in the time and I didn't trust myself that much to actually make these calls. But again, that's $5,000, $6,000. I didn't have to invest in that, and I could have easily put in an index fund or put in a listed investment company like AFIC. Hot tip, if you do want to see a video that I did around ETFs, link up here. That's an example where I've regretted making those financial decisions around investing in the share market to try and get rich overnight. Now the second one that, now that I think about it, I've regretted over time, has been doing university courses and university units just here and there because I was looking for a bit of fun, looking for a bit of a stimulation. I wasn't really committed and I just invested in these courses. And what I mean by this is, in Australia, when you study university, if you're an Australian citizen, get a free loan from the government basically, where they'll pay for your courses up front with the expectation that you pay for it down the track as you start to earn money. Now, because of this, I found it gave me this tendency and temptation to just enroll in units where I wasn't really committed to it, I wasn't really interested in it, but I just thought I'd give it a go. Now this was outside of my undergraduate degree, I should add. So I had already studied my undergraduate degree, did that well, was working full time, and then I decided I might just do the odd course here or a unit there. And they were all over the shop. They'd be like something in the arts, they'd be like national security or learning about terrorism, or there'd be things like finance. Now finance is actually not a bad area, but this is like specific corporate finance. But the issue that I have with what I was doing in the corporate finance area was the fact that I wasn't really committing to these units, and often I would fail the unit and then I would just re-enroll the next year, because for some reason some of these courses let you do that. And I'd say, this year I'll do it right. This year I'll actually commit to it, or this semester I'll actually commit to it. And I didn't. And I still never ended up passing those units. 3 times I tried to do the same unit. I don't even know how that's possible. Normally they say, no, you kind of seem to have an issue. Why are you committing to this? Somehow I was able to, and that combined with some of my other losses, that's another 5-6 grand I'm chalking up to those terrible educational decisions that I made along the way. Now the third one is a classic one that I think happens to a lot of Australians, and this is not consolidating my superannuation early. And the reason for this is, as I went through university, I studied engineering at university, and every semester break I would do an internship at a different company. And all these companies had different superannuation programs, and I didn't really pay attention to what they were. I'd always sign up to whatever it was. I didn't bother changing it to the one I already had. And by the end of it, I had like 5 or 6 superannuation accounts when I actually then committed to a full-time job after I graduated. And I didn't really consolidate this until a couple of years later. Nowadays, it's very easy. You've got MyGov. the superannuation companies have also, I think, broadly made it easier to consolidate between. A hot tip is the superannuation company that you want to stay with they will help you. All the other companies will make it very hard for you to actually get money out, but the actual company that you want to consolidate everything into will make it very easy for you if you just give them details. This one over time, I don't think it's been a lot. I'm estimating it around $2,000, $1,000 to $2,000. And it's basically the account fees that I would have paid along the way for superannuation accounts that I didn't really need. Now, the fourth big mistake that I made, or the fourth biggest financial regret I've had in my life, has been getting a car lease. Now, a car lease completely by itself, under certain circumstances is a great idea, and it's a great alternative to getting a car maybe through cash, or maybe buying it through car loan. In my situation, this was a terrible move because I already owned a car. The car was fantastic. It was fantastic by itself. And I just thought, gee, I want to get a new car. I wanted to get a ute because I was working in mining and everyone had a ute, and I thought this would be really cool. I'll get a ute. So I got a car lease for a ute. Now, you can get car leases for second-hand cars. I don't know if I didn't know that or I intentionally ignored that fact and still went for a brand new car. Yeah, I got a Nissan Navara, brand new, on a 3-year lease. I drove it around everywhere. It was a great car. Car was great. No issues with the car. But in retrospect, the fact that I already had a car and I couldn't really sell it, so I actually ended up giving that car away. So I didn't recover any money in that car that I had. I spent money on getting a car lease and getting a brand new car, and this car would have depreciated over time, and then I tried to get out of the lease early, which was too challenging, so I kind of ran it broadly to the end. In retrospect, that was a terrible decision, and I'm estimating that one at around $30,000, basically because I spent money on a car when I didn't really need a car. And you could maybe phrase that another way. You could basically say the whole idea of buying a car when you don't really need a car, if current car is already doing a great job. But yeah, that's how I've phrased the old car lease terrible decision at being around $30,000. So it's about $30,000 for the car, $5,000 for investing in things and trying to become rich overnight, $6,000 in doing university courses or university units that I wasn't that interested in, and a couple of $1,000s for not consolidating my superannuation early. And that comes out to being around $42,000. So how did I get from 42 to 53,000? Basically, this all happened in the last 10 years, and let's say if I had that money from 5 years ago and it had compounded at a broad average at about 5% a year, I'll chuck up the compound interest calculator that you can see, it's about $53,000. So that's $53,000 that I don't have today because of those decisions that I made back when I was in my 20s. I don't think they could have ever turned out well in any way. Like, this is not major downside events. They were always going to be terrible decisions. And that's how I've lost that money over time. So hey, just wanted to share that with you guys. If you're ever thinking about making any of these decisions, maybe your circumstances are different. Obviously, I'm not giving financial advice. If you do need financial advice, speak to a financial advisor who understands your circumstances and can give you proper professional advice. I'm just sharing with you some of the terrible decisions I've made, and hopefully they'll be a bit of a light bulb for you when you're thinking about making maybe something similar and you'll think through the consequences of it. And I guess lastly, the last point I wanted to make was not really having a financial plan early in my life. I have a few friends who did have financial plans when they were 18, 19, 20, and I can see, they're doing really well because of that, and they just diligently work towards it. Whereas with me, I was, doing things on the share market, trying to become a millionaire overnight, throwing money on brand new cars when I didn't really need to, throwing money at university education courses when I wasn't really interested in it. I was just doing it for fun and not really realizing that, just because I didn't have to pay for it today, I will eventually have to pay for it, obviously. And it's so easy for you to forget that HEX is not free money. It's money that you will have to pay at some point. I'll do another video probably in the future about HEX debt because I do have quite a lot, and I think it'll be quite interesting and funny to talk about, and informative as well, obviously. So there you go, guys. Hopefully that was useful for you. If you have any of your own financial terrible decisions that you've made, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Like the video if you enjoyed some of the content, and subscribe for future videos along these lines. And like I said before, don't feel stressed if you've made some of these decisions. It's not the end of the world. You can recover. But if you are thinking of making some of these decisions, do your numbers, speak to an advisor, speak to your friends, get a bit of a feel for how realistic your expectations are of the future, and yeah, make those wise decisions accordingly. Bye for now.